Hello everybody, I'm Anton Tenitsky, and in this little tutorial I will talk about rock creation in ZBrush. I'll show a technique how to create this type of rocks. This is an asset pack I created for my Gumroad. But for those of you who don't want to buy it, or for those of you who just want to learn the technique, this is the free tutorial I have here on YouTube. The technique behind this particular rock structure is quite simple. I'm only using 5 to 6 different tools in ZBrush. And today, before this tutorial, I did a little practice, spent about 15 minutes doing it, and got this rock, like doodle, really. But it's already pretty decent. So yeah, let's jump in it. Let's see how it's done. So every time you start a new project, you start to gather a reference. And obviously go for Google. Start to Google rocks. But I pick this rock and it gets me a whole bunch of related images. They're all different from different locations. They're not always that big. Like this one is pretty tiny, for example. And that becomes a problem. Like I want photos of one particular location that I know that it's not different in its composition. The rock composition is structured the same, and therefore, well, we are quite lucky these days. You can get photo packs. So, for example, Fotoref.com got packs on different environments, and I've picked these two packs that I used for my project: coastal granite cliffs and layered rocks. Well, actually, mostly use coastal granite cliffs. So I have them here unpacked, or downloaded and unpacked. Here you have them in different folders, and for example, let's go for this guy, right? These are really high-res images that sold for a penny, really, compared to traditional stocks. There's a lot of reference here. So a lot of really useful reference. I think it's somewhere here that oh yeah, these guys are really something that I was looking for, and I will have this. I will have this like reference image on my left screen. But check it out. It's got a pretty cool library of images that you can see beforehand before buying anything, and they have free packs there as well. I've got a couple of those. Okay, and I'll show that the other pack that's layered stones. It's really cool, but it's kind of wasn't really my aim for the environment. So I haven't used it that much, but these rocks are pretty cool, maybe for a different project. Okay, so I just got this cube here, just the mesh 3D cube that I turned into mesh. It's only about 500 polygons there, so we will need to subdivide it a few times. Oh, by the way, so let's a few words about my layout. It's based off a layout I've seen on ZBrush Summit video from Final Fantasy guys. I modified it quite a bit. I'll upload it later for you guys to use if you need it or if you like it. It really fits my needs. And let's start doing this thing. So I'll just go tool by tool. Let's go with stream curve, and let's cut this guy out. Okay, I need to delete my. Got about 2 million polygons, maybe a bit too much for now. So I'll delete all the subdivision levels. Okay, let's cut it out. So I use a trim lasso tool sparingly because it's quite slow. You can see yourself. I'm cutting it out, and it takes some time to think it over. Like that. So just looking for some random shape. So mostly I use the clipping brush, but to get the major shapes, I'll just use the trim lasso. And trim lasso has got this sometimes desirable effect, sometimes not that desirable. Like if I undo it, you can see this kind of strange curvature going on right here that I decided to get rid of. And I'm pressing Ctrl-Shift to use my trim lasso tool here. Right, so it creates this kind of profile that's slightly bent. Sometimes it's really nice, but more often than not, I'm using clipping brush tool to get rid of those like curvature stuff. And I just pause for 1 second to put my reference frame. So I'll be looking at this, but I won't really be sticking to it too much. It's more like to just get the general idea of the rock. I don't want, unless I have a task where somebody will tell me that you have to make this rock look identical to the ones that are in this particular location, I won't really be sticking to the reference that much. I just need to get the general idea, and then I can sculpt off with it. It's just faster that way, really, rather than really trying to fit in to make it exactly like the reference. Okay. It's more or less of this kind of rocky shape, and what I do right now, I'll actually just stretch it out a little bit and squash it. Don't be afraid to do that. That's what I found myself. I rarely, well, kind of my tendency to do stuff, I make it short and fat. So every time I have to correct myself, I'll make it a bit longer and a bit more appealing. Okay, so we have this chipped rock that already can be something that is good for some stylized, like, blizzard type, crystal. It's already good to go. But of course, we want to create a realistic rock more like this. Like this, been weathered and eroded, a lot of cracks and a lot of stuff like that. And here you can actually see pretty well that the reference and the actual rock is matching quite a bit, though I wasn't really following that much. I just like really looked through the images, really got my visual library in place, and then started to sculpt. Okay, back in our rocky land. Well, I've done the trimming, so I'll use the clipping brush, clipping tool. So I have them all on my left panel, but obviously if you press B, you can get it in here from this panel, and it always takes some time to find it. That's why I have it on my left panel. Yes, this one. So same thing, Ctrl-Shift. So I'm pressing Alt to create this profile, and then to cut it out, and you can see that it was immediate, right? You got an immediate result, an immediate response. There was no waiting for it to trim, and that's hugely important. You do get issues though, like when you use a trim lasso tool, trim curve tool, it creates you a new geometry, right? So it gets you a really nice clean shape, while when you use the clipping brush, what it actually does, it just pushes your geo in and out. It squashes it in, and you do get this stretching, but there are ways to get by with this stretching. There are ways to fix it later, so I won't really be worried about it right now. And I'll show how to fix it later. Well, yeah, this is so fast, Just cut it. Ooh, and you get this a lot. Like, have you seen? Like, I'll show that what happened there. Wait. So you see that gradient that is going from the right to left. So if I do this, it will cut out everything on the left side. So I have to be conscious about where the gradient is pointing. So I have to drag from the top to bottom to point it to the right, and I drag it from the bottom to the top to point it to the left. So it might sound a bit confusing, but with a little bit of practice you'll get the idea of it and you'll be pretty fluid with it. But it's still quite often by accident, every now and then you will cut out in the wrong direction, and that's completely fine. By the way, you can actually see what the clipping brush does here. It's kind of smashes all of your stuff against the mesh. It just presses it in. So you don't want to use the clipping brush for big volumes. You don't want to like cut out the whole thing. That's why I started with the trim lasso tool, trim curve. I keep saying wrong tool. Because if the trim curve can really destroy big volumes of the object, but clipping tool cannot. It will actually create you more of the artifacts. It won't really be that beneficial to use. So I'm just cutting these crevices, throwing cracks that I can see on my reference. Okay. Not sure why is it doing that, but that. Okay, now it's done it. Yeah, that's a constant struggle against the clipping tool. The way it cuts the rocks and the way it inverts itself quite often. Okay, so I'm just thinking I'm more or less finished. There's some see, it's like why? So I have to rotate. Sometimes it doesn't work in the right direction, so I have to rotate the whole object and do it from the other side. But generally the reason I use it is because it gives a really nice and crisp edge. This is the big thing, you know. This is why you want to get a clean shapes that are just perfect and look right, and then we'll really sell the rock, the appearance of it. And you know, I don't really. I'm alright that you know, with the cut that goes in here and stops right there. It's not really a natural cut, but we will deal with that. I can later on use the slash tool and cut it through. So it's all good. It's all good. So I just need to get the rough shape right here, and I think it's alright. But I feel like I need to stretch it again, make it more of a dynamic shape. Opposite of that, you know. No, I think I'll keep it like this. Okay, so right now I'll think about doing a Dynamesh. Probably not right now. So the third tool I use a lot, and it actually goes in that order. Like I start with the trim curve, then I use the clipping brush, then I use the crumple tool. So again, crumple. Let's press C. Yeah, I have it on already, and I make it pretty big. And what it does is starts to like crumple your mesh. Really, it create these kind of paper type folds, and it does kind of destroy the mesh. You can see that what's going on is if you do it for a really long time, you get this really nasty distortion. So this is something to be really to be aware of. So we don't want to overdo it. And also watch out, like obviously the bigger the radius of the brush, the bigger the distortion. I mean, like not bigger, but the waves of the distortion are bigger. And when you want to just edit a small bit of the edge, you go right here and you beam, do this, break it slightly, add some noise. And this is a really cool tool. I use it. I like it more than like regular like noise filter in ZBrush. It gives you a really nice solid rocky appearance. Right. So let's just break it apart. You will also see like I'm using it all over. What I tend to do, I call it like a real-time weathering. real-time erosion. I do it all over the mesh, then I'll activate the clipping brush again. I have it, probably it's already on. Okay, and then I'll just go and cut some parts. So I will actually delete the stuff I already crumpled. You know, there'll be this variation of really clean shapes and eroded shapes, and this happens in nature, right? So what happens really is, because the composition of the rock is not always uniform, usually it's not uniform, right? And certain parts of it, they start to slice out. Some parts of the rock will slide off, and that part, and if the rock had if the part of the rock had slided not a long time ago, it will be really clean shape here, while the other parts here, they will be pretty, you know, pretty eroded because they've been exposed for a while. So this is like the logic behind, like a real world logic behind it. So that's why I do it. And when you do a lot of crumpling, then you kind of lose your, like, some of the clean edges. Sometimes I want to keep it pretty straight. Again, if it's been a recent cut in a recent slide, then it will be pretty clean. Okay. So it's already getting there now. Cause don't like that one. Okay. I think it kind of lacks some deeper cracks, so I'll actually start. I'll do a couple of those. Cut in. And you'll be like, oh, but you already like done all the crumpling and all that stuff. It doesn't matter really. I can always recrumple or just leave it as they are. It's, for example, if you're doing it for like a game engine, Unreal, Unity, we'll probably use a detailed texture on top, little bump texture that will be overlaid, and that will add extra resolution to your texture. So it's alright to have clean shapes. They will be modified later. And anyway, the crumpling is so fast that you just can go back and do it right now, right here. And you can see a lot of distortion obviously happening right there, and that's pretty bad distortion that will show up in your normal map if you bake it like this. Well, this one, yeah, this one will show up, and that will show up. So let's deal with it really. Let's fix those distortions. And to do that, we will duplicate the mesh, and we will do the Dynamesh on it. So essentially, you would ask, why wouldn't I do a Dynamesh on this mesh right here? Well, let me show. Okay, with no Dynamesh. Let's Dynamesh it like this. And I'm pretty happy about it. I'll just subdivide it once. Okay, so obviously we've lost quite a bit of sharpness there. And to gain that sharpness back, we unhide our hidden previous existing rock, and we do the project all function, and we'll just press that button. And I'm using the default settings here, haven't changed anything. And we get this stuff. Okay, so you can see that that distortion is kind of going on right there. Actually, let me increase it to 1 million and do project L again. I'm afraid 200,000 was not enough. Was not enough resolution. Okay, I'll pause it for a second. Okay, back in business. Here we go. We have our rock all being projected, and we can compare the mesh. You see this mesh? This is fucked up. honestly, this is fucked up. This won't bake right at all. Okay, this mesh is way better. It's not far from perfect. You have to fix it still. You have to go and, you know, smooth it out, do something like that. Fix it. You kind of have. Oh no, it's fixable. Yeah, this mesh is fixable, right? This one is not fixable. You see, I'm trying to smooth it. Yeah, it's just broken. So the clipping brush is, you know, is quite a it's deforming your mesh quite a bit. Okay, I'll just show you the smoothing I use. I don't use the regular smooth. I'm using the smooth that's smooth volleys. Smooth volleys. It's okay. And kind of what it does, it keeps all your hard edges, all your stuff, but it smoothes all the stuff that's not hard. And this is fantastic. This is just like I use it all the time. You know, you can see the effect right here. You know, it's pretty self-explanatory, and especially with the, you know, with the when I crumple geometry, this really helps to smooth it, make it, apply the natural smoothing to it. And here as well, yeah, you can see this was all distorted and ugly, but I run it with the smooth volleys tool, and you can see it's becoming quite natural. It's a bit of stuff. I don't know, I'm not looking for perfection. I can spend a lot of time trying to make everything look perfect, but it's never usually a point if you're in production and you have to push it out really fast. Players won't really see much of a difference, honestly. You have to make it. You don't want to spend too much time on a rock. So let's recap, right? I use a trim curve, I use clipping brush, I use crumple, and I use clipping brush again, and then I use some smooth volleys just to give it a bit more natural look. Okay. Another tool, I mean, you can get by with all these tools and that's it, you know, it already gives you a nice rock. You can use it already. You know, there you go, it's good to go, honestly. But people like to use the noise. I'm not that big of a fan of noise in ZBrush. Sometimes it's really works out quite well. For this particular rock kind of type, it's not, you don't need that much. And I keep forgetting, oh yeah, surface. Okay, so just a little intro, like tiny intro to noise. So you've clicked on it, you can't really see much, you have to up the scale. If you want to change the noise type, you go into noise plug, and here you pick the corrugated, right? Okay. Let's plug in scale, something like that. Strength, it's pretty self-explanatory. Okay, so click OK. So right now this noise actually it shouldn't have been applied. Yeah, it hasn't been applied yet. Hasn't been applied yet. It just shows you like the preview of the noise. And you have this button, apply to mesh. Let's click on it. And it's kind of applied all over the whole mesh, and maybe you want to have it all over, but usually you don't. So to do that, you use the noise brush, and wait. Oh, sorry, you actually don't need a noise brush. You can just mask out the parts you don't want your noise to appear. You can do all kinds of masking, but I'll just use the simplest of them possible. Just hit apply to mesh. Okay. So now it's not as uniform as we had it. Okay, let's try a different noise. Just memorize it. Edit, noise plug. And it's not activating my... Yeah, finally. Yeah, I'm like, why is it checkerboard? I was kind of curious about the checkerboard. This is checkerboard. Was it? Let's try erosion. There was a time I would like to try all of them. I would try all of those, and I would try to, you know, modify the profile. Profile is pretty important. It gives you, helps you quite a bit. I'll try not to overdo that. Oh yeah, so that's what I was looking for, right? Noise scale. Really, profile is extremely important. Essentially, just put points there and see what it does. It will flatten certain areas and then will help to sell other areas. And probably let's make it bigger. You can increase the strength, but that's way too much. I don't want this noise to overrun my existing structure of the rock. Hit OK. And again, I can hit apply to mesh, and it will go all over. Doesn't look that bad, but I'll just... Huh? Just a sec. It has forgotten all my stuff. Yeah, let's repeat it again. Well, okay. Let's just mask out stuff that we don't need. I mean, you can create rocks just by using noise, really, but I kind of don't... usually it's better to use it as an additional thing on top to add a detail. Because general shapes, the best shapes to get it, they come, you know, with hand sculpting, really. Okay, apply to mesh, and there we go. Also be aware that the preview is not really truthful, the noise preview. It really depends on the density of your mesh. And it's not showing my wireframe. Okay. It really depends on the density of the mesh. All that, and I want to use a bit of the smooth volleys and see what it does, and probably not that great. You can also try the opposite, smooth peaks. Okay, and see what that does, but that's really not helping with this particular rock. Not helping at all. Okay, and let's go to my final tool. It's pretty much a slash. Actually, not final tool, but one of those tools that can add into your tool set. I'm trying to smooth it out, but I'm using the wrong smoothing. It starts to think. What is it doing? Okay, it's pop up. Okay, smoothing this stuff out. And my slash tool has already got a lazy mouse on it. A bit of a lazy smooth. It's a bit tricky to get a really good motion with this stuff, right? So another way of doing it is masking. Yep, masking. And what I mean is, let's up our resolution. There's another way to create the cracks. It's by displacing your existing mask, like we have it here. Let's make it a bit more crack here. Is it crack? Crack. And well, I'm using the standard shortcuts here. Control to use the mask, and then Control Alt to really to sharpen it. Okay, so we have the selection, and what I will do next, I'll use the move tool and let's push it slightly in. Yep. It's actually better. It's better to use the noise in the very end, because now it's kind of fucks around with my stuff here. So let's move this stuff here. And let's actually do this type of, I want to something more rectangular. And then I'll just use the standard freehand. Some sharper alpha. Okay, this alpha is a bit sharper. So I'm just trying to create a more of a crack. I think I need a I need a more rectangular alpha. Okay. Let's use our move tool and displace these guys. I don't like that rectangular part, but these guys are alright. So displacing them in and out, well, more in. So this is really like a fine tuning of the mesh. You can see the distortions that are going on there. I'll use the smooth volley mesh, smooth volley brush to edit it. But generally, I wouldn't even be too concerned about those distortions. Yeah, not really bad. Okay, well, this guy probably needs to smooth it out. I'll just try to find the uniformity of the thickness. This guy, that guy, plus. And then I can go add a bit more of cracks by slash tool. I really don't like it. It's like I'm trying to use a bit more like scratchy cuts. But it's a bit tricky to make them look really natural and really like a solid part of the work. Well, couple cuts there, they're all right. So sometimes I would go inside here and I would try to really push this form underneath. Let's fix that distortion there, and you can spend a fair amount of time just fine-tuning in this case, like just with the that stuff. But just take forever. I don't like that. Oh, of course, alphas, another way of doing them, just creating an alpha of cracks and applying it, you know. Stuff like that. Kind of hard. There's very little control over that, but you know, maybe that's something you want to do. I'd prefer to use the clipping brush, but this actually looks alright. Not too bad. Not too bad. And you get the protrusion. To get rid of that, what you gotta do is you have to go to brush settings and click on the back face mask. I still get some of it. Just yeah, but not now, right? But then you really want to use the clipping brush and actually clip those out like this to make it really real, and then probably you'll use the clipping tool to help to sell this break in the rock, and I'll try to use I'll use the traditional freehand to combine them. Okay. Also, a fair amount of people are using like trim adaptive brush. I'll show it in a second. Yeah, that's actually it's not bad. Helps. And do not worry if you create a lot of distortion. Just do the same thing I've done before. Create a copy, dynamesh it, reproject it on top, and you'll be fine. Yep. Okay, let's talk about trim adaptive and trim dynamic. So trim dynamic is kind of a flattened brush, you know, it starts to flatten stuff and such. I would typically use the rectangular alpha because it gets a bit more of a rigid end to it. So sometimes it's really nice to go over your noise and break it apart and make it look not so uniform. Trimmed adaptive is like more aggressive to trim dynamic. It will really cut through, and you really need rectangular alpha here. Some people just use it to create the whole rocks, and you'll see there are some tutorials on YouTube. I don't think it's the best way of doing it. Really, it helps to add some detail here and there, maybe a crack or two, but honestly I wouldn't do the whole rock. The couple cool things about it is if you use the drag direct, it can actually cut out the big areas. I think okay. No. I'm a little bit not sure why I have some masking on. I think I have got some masking, but I also am in a dynamesh mode, so okay. Yeah, it's okay. It wasn't the issue with masking, just the issue with the brush that starts to do this particular strange stuff. So if you have this alpha on and you do the drag rectangular thing, you can cut parts out, which is pretty cool. Yeah, this stuff is in this particular setting is pretty cool. It's like essentially it's like a clipping brush, but different, you know. And you can use a different alpha. Let's try this. What's that? Yeah, yep. You can try a couple of your custom alphas and see how it goes. About this. Well, I'll actually take a look. Right, you can actually create a asteroid or little moon type of. There are actually rocks I've seen on Fotoref. There are rocks that have a lot of, it's really porous, and they will have a similar structure to this. But not this particular rock, so don't really want to use that. Okay. So the couple cuts you can do that look pretty cool, but yeah, interesting. Quite experimental. I haven't used it until today, really. I've tried it today and it achieved a couple interesting results, but nothing that amazing. So yeah, I would rather use the clipping curve with a lot of control than adaptive brush. And in the end, also, sometimes it's really cool when you combine the shrug, you just duplicate it and rotate it around. Scale it up and down. Actually, stuff like this. Probably too big. Let's put it down, put it down, put it down. It's starting to look pretty cool. You see this shape? It will be really hard to think about to design it yourself, right? So actually, I'll use the clipping brush. Okay, I'll go for another end to cut some stuff. So I have to turn around and do it, and then you've just we made it looking a little bit too clean. I'll go just do a crumple, quick crumple and smooth, crumple, smooth, crumple, smooth. Okay, and then let's actually add another one. We can make him smaller. Store it and rotate it. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, you can play around for quite a while with this stuff. And okay, let's just use the move tool to scale it. Put it here. Okay, that's good enough. Let's now merge it all down. Geometry, not geometry. Okay, don't remember that button. Come on. Yes, it's here, it's this shelf. Merge down. And merge down. Okay. So now we have this. We really need to dynamesh it. I will duplicate it. And geometry dynamesh. Okay. Let's just project all. It will take a while. The projection actually might crash your computer, so it's better to save right here. Okay, saved. And let's do the projection subtool. Project all. Okay, I'll put it on a pause because it will take a while. Actually, it didn't take too much. Oh yeah, it's only 100,000. Okay, I'll just double count. I'll double, quadruple the count and do it again. 400,000. Right. Okay, so I think it's time to pause. And there's one pause, it's kind of slowing down market. Okay, got it projected. So now we have it all combined. A really complex mesh. Okay, you can get these issues, you know, if the projection, if the cracks are really deep, then you start to get the issues like this. So that each one you have to manually fix. Well, not manually fix. What I can do, if we go back before the projection, you can create a move target. So a move target. Then you can do the projection. Let's pause it. Okay, back in here. It's kind of not really looking like this. Not looking the same. Okay, I'll just do the projection again. Oh wait, sorry, I haven't upraised it high to 400,000. My bad. Okay, I need to upraise it. Then I need to store the move target. Move. I'll just I know, here it goes. Delete move. Store move target of the high-res object. And hit the project O. Okay. I mean, we still have the problems inside that even with the move brush, and I switch to move brush, I have it right here, it won't really fix, you know. So that's why I wasn't like that happy about using the deep alpha before, because I knew it was something was coming like that. So be mindful about that. It's tricky to fix, but it is fixable though. But you'll have to do it manually and all that. So be mindful, because everything else that I've been done by hand doesn't have any issues, but that stuff that's been really carved into this distorted mesh with an alpha map, with that alpha, one of those, it really became an issue. Okay, but anyway, so now we have this piece of the mesh, which pretty much impossible to create yourself, you know, without combining the mesh, or at least really hard. So that mesh combining is definitely an amazing function that you can create, that you can use. You can also, you know, do the Boolean operations and subtract it. But what I want to show, I'll just pretty much finalize this stone, and I'll clip couple parts. I'll just do the same thing to make the profile of the rock look more interesting, because it's kind of looks like a heart right from the front. So I'm like, yeah, it's like looks a bit too strange. I like how it looks from the back, and this is actually something to keep in mind, is that you try to make a rock silhouette to look different from every angle. That will allow you to reuse the rock many more times. You know, like you will reuse. You can. I can tell you can get away with 3 rocks. Like you can go real far with only 3 rocks, and nobody will even ever suspect a thing that you've actually reused the same 3 rocks to create 60. And then we can just crumple, crumple, crumple. I think my crumpling strength is a bit too high. My computer is starting to get really slow. I think it's mostly because of the recording in the background. See? Oh yeah, by the way, you can see the clipping brush has created this particular artifact right there. So you can get rid of it using the trim lasso, well, trim curve. Oh yeah, okay, I need to delete my... And you can see also that I don't really care about my, subdivision levels. I delete them, I recreate them. It just doesn't matter. I deal with I do a high-res sculpting here. You don't need to stick to like a traditional, like go from low to high. You just do it high all the time for this particular sculpting. Okay, you can actually see that I've got this little piece right here that's trim lasso has done, and I don't like it. Let's cut the whole thing. Oh, I can see another. You can see the bridge that a trim lasso starts to create. This is really a pain. Let's just use the rectangular. Let's Ctrl Shift, cut the whole thing. Okay, fixed, finally. We did obviously destroy a part of the rock. So we just need, wait, I've got it sprayed, okay. It's acting pretty slow. I'm just trying to crumple it, but doesn't want to do it anyway. So I just want to add this I really want to speedily add the details back in and proceed. So you can see my manner of doing it is fairly dirty, but it gets the result. You get the really nice looking rock, like rock structure. That's and this is really up to you how much time I want to spend doing it, like 15 minutes or 20 or 2 hours. So for example, this rock right here, I spent about 2 hours on it because using all these techniques. Also, you can see here I've been using the slash tool to create all this mess. It's been decimated, this rock, pretty heavily, down to from 8 million polygons down to 500,000. But you can see it's comprised of different type of rocks that have been inserted in. I've decided to modify the rock, so I wasn't really happy about the overall shape, so I decided to spend maybe an extra 20 to 30 minutes trying to find a better silhouette. So you can see me cutting through a lot of shapes and even like destroying everything that I've done. But again, it's so simple to add the details that and I really care more about the overall shape than about the tiny noise and all that stuff. So the time lapse will run for another few minutes, and I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for coming and watching this tutorial. Leave any questions, comments in the YouTube comment section, and check my other tutorials on shading and replicating it in KeyShot if you're interested in that. Thank you for coming.